Welcome to our pick of the best laptops for students in 2020. These days, there are a number of unique challenges to anyone who is currently studying, which means picking the best laptop for your needs is now more important than ever. HP's Chromebook isn't exactly a high-end PC, but it's a slick, streamlined piece of kit nonetheless. The tapered enclosure measures 0.7 inches thick at its thickest point. At 3.74 pounds, it's also reasonably light, though not as much as the 13.3-inch, 2.97-pound Toshiba Chromebook 2. That extra weight gives you a slightly larger screen, though, and the Chromebook 14 doesn't feel at all heavy in hand. The case itself is entirely plastic, and it does flex and creak some as you adjust the screen or pick it up one-handed. On the bright side, the case doesn't have any exposed screws, so you don't need to worry about a loose screen dropping out randomly. Oh! And it's blue. Very blue. Like, swimming pool blue. The shade of blue, which HP calls sky blue, looks cool, but it isn't for everyone. A white keyboard and lid offsets all the vibrant blue, though it makes our Chromebook 14 review unit the PC equivalent of a Smurf. Whether that's a good or bad thing depends on your taste in 1980s cartoons. You'll find no shortage of inputs on the Chromebook 14. The left edge features an HDMI out port, a security lock slot, a USB 3.0 port, a headphone jack, and a micro SD card slot. Along the right, you'll find the power connector and two USB 2.0 ports. Ideally, I would have loved if all three USB ports supported USB 3.0, but there's plenty of connectivity for most users. The keyboard flexes ever so slightly when I pound heavily on it, but under normal use, it isn't mushy at all. My gripe is there's no dedicated caps lock key. A search key takes its place and must be triggered while holding the Alt key. It isn't a big deal, but it makes it more difficult to impulsively tweet in all caps. The lid and chassis are impressively rigid and strong. The anti-glare metal surfaces generally keep reflections down, though the silver color can become downright dazzling in direct sunlight. It's the only available color. The 12.7 by 9.1-inch chassis is about as trim as a Chromebook sporting a 14-inch display can get. The display's minimal side bezels give it a modern, chic appearance, while the taller top bezel allows the Acer's 720p webcam to live up there. The cam's muddy picture quality isn't better or worse than I've seen from ones in similarly priced laptops, but that's hardly an excuse for device makers not to step up their selfie game. The front-facing camera on my several years old smartphone is much clearer. The Chromebook 514's keyboard is on the money for touch typing. The full-size keys have a light, springy feel and white backlighting. The keyboard layout should look familiar if you're coming from a PC, and it is pretty much in line with what I've seen on other Chromebooks. The layout is Chrome OS prescribed and has no Windows key, of course, but the search key almost works like Start, allowing you to find almost anything and launch shortcuts in conjunction with other keys. The tutorial that appears at first startup shows you what you need to know to get started in Google Chrome OS. The buttonless touchpad, centered in the wrist rest, is made of Corning Gorilla Glass. Silky smooth and sized for royalty, it's a pleasure to use. I wasn't sure if the slight play in its surface was intentional or not, but it has utility. If you tap to click, the pad moves slightly and gives you some audible feedback. Pressing the pad until it physically clicks makes a sound too loud for my preferences, though, I don't like advertising my clicks to everyone within earshot. The Surface Go 2 is Microsoft's new affordable Windows 10 tablet. While the company's Surface lineup of devices are usually high-end and expensive showcases for Windows 10, the original Surface Go showed that Microsoft could turn its hand at affordable devices as well, and that's a legacy the Surface Go 2 continues. This is the kind of price point that pitches it against budget laptops and Chromebooks. It's certainly an attractive price, but there are a few caveats. First, this configuration only comes with 4GB RAM, 64GB storage and an Intel Pentium Gold 4425Y dual-core processor. That's pretty underpowered, and that 64GB of storage will feel incredibly tight after you've installed a few apps. You can get Surface Go 2 configurations with a bit more powerful spec, which certainly helps, but no Surface Go 2 configuration is ever going to break any records when it comes to performance. Also, once you start upping the specifications, the Surface Go 2 starts to become more expensive, and thus less competitive for people looking for a bargain. The other thing to note is that while you might see photos of the Surface Go 2 with the type cover, which not only protects the screen, but includes a keyboard and touchpad for turning the Surface Go 2 into a laptop-like device. These are not included with the tablet. Instead, you need to buy them separately, and that again adds to the overall cost of the product. When it comes to design, though, we can't fault the Surface Go 2, really. Considering the price, it's got a solid and attractive design, and it's thin and light enough to easily carry around with you and use with one hand. Thanks to its convertible design, you can use the Aspire R14 like a traditional laptop in notebook mode, or flip the screen around to use it in tablet mode, fold the keyboard back and face down, with the screen facing toward you, or stand the system upside down in tent mode for movie viewing. Because of its screen size, it can get a little uncomfortable when you have to hold the system in the crook of your arm in tablet mode for an extended period of time. The hinges have a bit more friction once you tilt the screen back beyond 120 degrees. That makes the system more stable when you're using the touch display. The 14-inch, 1920 by 1080 resolution IPS touchscreen shows accurate colors when you view the display from various angles. Both the touchscreen and the touchpad work well, with no lag. The backlit, chiclet-style keyboard is easy to type on. Connectivity is much improved over the last iteration. There's a USB-C port on the left side, which you can use with the latest speedy external hard drives and solid-state drives. Also on the left are a headset jack, an HDMI port, a Kensington lock port, and two USB 3.0 ports. On the right, you'll find a jack for the AC adapter, the power button, an SD card slot, a USB 2.0 port, and the volume control. Dual-band 802.11 acres Wi-Fi and Bluetooth handle wireless connections. That's an improvement over the last model, which has 2.4 GHz Wi-Fi only. The sound system detects the screen's position, and directs the audio output from the left and right speakers accordingly. Many new Acer laptops have a blue light reduction mode called Blue Light Shield. The company claims that it helps reduce eye strain, particularly if you like to use your laptop in a dimly lit room. It's also well equipped with ports, though it lacks the Thunderbolt 3 port of the Spectre X360, you're limited to USB, not Thunderbolt, docking and storage solutions. On the left edge are a jack for the palm-sized AC adapter, a USB-C/DisplayPort connector, HDMI and USB 3.0 ports, and an audio jack. On the right side are the power button, a volume rocker, an SD card reader, a USB 2.0 port, and a Noble lock slot. As you'd expect, 802.11 acres Wi-Fi and Bluetooth wireless are standard. The keyboard is a bit on the flat or shallow side, with a little less travel than we'd like, but makes up for it with crisp feedback and a snappy typing feel. We were cruising at high speed after only a few minutes practice. The layout is easy to master, with cursor arrows and the proper inverted T, although they're small and paired with the FN key in lieu of dedicated keys for home, end, page up, and page down. The keyboard backlight caught our eye, too, with two brightness levels and above average focused rather than fuzzy white illumination. The touchpad works smoothly, with just a gentle press or flex required to click its lower corners. The 1920 by 1080 screen isn't wider than wide or brighter than bright, and like many touchscreens is prone to reflections in dark areas. But it offers wide viewing angles and good contrast. Colorful photos and 1080p videos looked sharp and accurate, though solid colors in PowerPoint slides didn't pop like poster paints. Touch operations were slick and precise in testing.